All right, for lesson 8 in unit 2, we're going to do measures of position today. I'm going to have two different videos. One, I'm going to go through the calculator stuff and the notes here, and then one that I'm going to do with spreadsheet formulas. So how things relate to each other is a big statistical idea, and one of those things that we do that with is z-score. So we learned about standard deviation and mean in the previous sections. Well, now we're going to take that idea and take a list of numbers, typically, and find out how those numbers relate to the mean and standard deviation. So the formula for z-score, well, z-score is the number of standard deviations something is away from the mean. If a z-score is positive, it's above the mean. If it's negative, it's below the mean. Here's the formula for it. So it's going to be whatever score you're dealing with minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. All right, so we're going to do two things where we're going to compare them here. So we've got a chapter 1 test and a chapter 2 test. So on chapter 1 test, you got an 82%, and the mean was 70, and the standard deviation is 8. And in the chapter 2 test, you got a 75, and the mean was 63, and the standard deviation was 5. Which one did you do better on? So because this is a test score, you want to be higher above average. So the number that's higher above average would be the one that you would want. So if you do 82 minus 70, that's 12. 12 divided by 8 is 1.5. And if you do 75 minus 63, that's 12. And 12 divided by 5 is 2.4. So again, you want the higher one. So you did relatively better on Chapter 2's test than you did on 1. Even though you got a higher score on Chapter 1, compared to the rest of the class, you did better on Chapter 1. Okay, percentiles, quartiles. Percentile would be to take a list and break it into 100 equal groups, whereas quartiles will break it into 4 equal groups. Percentiles, if you want to know how to do those, you can take a look at the second video with how to do that on Google Sheets. Quartiles we're going to talk about here and on Google Sheets. I'm going to show you how to do that on the calculator with the example that's on the last page here. So quartiles is going to take and break it in. So if you have a list of numbers, there's numbers along that line, we're going to take and cut it in half. So half the list will be here and half the list will be here. And then we're going to break each half in half. So that you've broken them into 4 different quarters with the same number of numbers in each list. So let's, here, I'm going to use this example right here. So we're going to eventually do something that's called outliers, but let's take this list. Let's put it in the calculator and find the numbers with that. All right, so after you got your numbers in there, let's double check them here. Looks like they're all good. Stat, calc, 1 bar stats, list 1, leave that blank like we've been doing. And then you click that. Then if you go down the list right here, we have Q1 median, which is going to be quartile 2, and Q3, which is going to be 20. So Q1 is 9, Q2 is 14, Q3 is 20. So that would take this list, and so you have here at 14, you have here at 20, and you have, you have 9. Sorry, I missed the first number. You have 9, you have 14, and you have 20, breaking that up into fairly equal pieces. Okay, then we are going to do something that is called an outlier. To do an outlier, we're going to use an interquartile range. which is establishing the middle 50% of data. It's kind of like, when you have a list of things, it's all the stuff in the middle, which is what, most things in like money and stuff like that is. So interquartile range is very simply taking Q3 and Q1 and subtracting them. And then we're going to use that to determine outliers. Now, outliers are extremely high or low data values when compared to the rest of the set. So if you have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 500, well, 500 doesn't really go with the other numbers. That would be considered an outlier. And how does that affect what's going on with your means and medians and all of those things? So we're going to find out how to find an outlier. So here are the steps that you're going to do. This, again, is how you would do it with calculator. The second video will show you how to do that with Google Sheets. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you don't have to arrange the data in order because you're going to put it in the calculator anyway. You'll find Q1 and Q3, so we did that on the previous thing. So that was 20 and 9. So then I'm going to find the IQR, interquartile range, which would be 20 minus 9, which is 11. I am then going to take that number and I am going to multiply it by 1.5. So basically what we're doing is putting an error in there. We're going 150% either direction. So that number is going to be 16.5 when you multiply 11 times 1.5. Then I am going to take Q1 and I am going to subtract that from it. And I'm going to take Q3 and I'm going to add that number to it. So Q1 minus the number, Q3 plus the number. All right, so this is negative 7.5. This would be 36.5. So you would go from negative 7.5 to 36.5. Any numbers that fall outside of that range are outliers. So obviously we don't have any negative numbers, but we do have numbers that are bigger than 36.5. That's 50. So 50 is an outlier. That's how you do outliers, and that is section 8. Let me know if you got questions.